lightning round and a half, just because we got 3 guys going today, so.
Would it have been that way if it started on Tuesday?
Yeah, plus we're late, it was a long practice, and we were waiting for you guys to all get here.
You guys were late.
So just be patient with me and
Really tight shipping.
no evil eyes.
11:30.
Yeah, sorry. I meant to. I tried to say it earlier. I had muted us while we were waiting. So is it working now? Can you hear me from the mic? I'll go up to the mic.
Mic check, 1, 2. Yeah, okay. We're good. Yeah, sorry about that. I had purposely muted us while we were conversing, while waiting.
Didn't want anyone to say something. All right, folks, thanks for being here. We're going to open things up with Bill Landis, the podcast.
Oh, wow. I guess I'll ask it. Ryan, do you have a starting quarterback?
We do. Will Howard will start the first game against Akron. He is our starting quarterback. I think that, Chip has done a great job of rolling the quarterbacks from the first day of spring all the way to now. I think we're 12 or 13 practices in here, so you're talking almost 27, 28 practices. And when you take the aggregate of all the numbers, Will graded out significantly ahead of the other guys in the teamwork. And, Devin right now would be the number 2. Now we still have a big scrimmage on Saturday, so these guys are going to continue to work. Julian, Lincoln, Air, they're all going to, compete, we're going to try to get as many reps as we can. We are currently still rolling 3 groups, so there's a lot of reps to go around. But we're excited about Will being the starter. Will has really taken a command of the offense, I believe. You feel him in the huddle. You feel his experience. I think he did a really good job, as we talked about, of changing his body in the offseason. So he's become a threat both with his legs and with his arm. And the more he understands what he's doing out there, and when he does, he's really executing very well. I think the guys are excited, when he gets in the huddle. Not to say that they're not excited when the other quarterbacks are in there, but they do feel Will. And, I know he's excited about leading the team.
Fourth row middle, Tony Girdman, Buckeye Huddle.
I'll let everybody else ask about the quarterbacks. What's the situation on finding a third tackle, third guard, second center right now?
Yeah, so we have finally gotten through some of this funky illness that's going on, so we're finally getting these guys out there, but we're just a little bit behind there. I will say that Tegra's been there the whole time and has really showed improvement. I got to watch the film from today. Today was a physical practice, but I felt him, especially in the last couple drives. I think he's taken a step forward for sure. Seth McLaughlin's been, probably our most consistent offensive lineman in the first couple weeks of practice. And so, we'll kind of see where it goes, through the scrimmage. Carson, was out there a little bit, and Donnie's been out a little bit. Simmons, same thing. So it hasn't been, easy because they've been kind of a little bit in and out. George has missed some time. There's not enough of a body of work to have a, real strong opinion in that area. But I will say for the guys that have been there, like Tegra's, stood out as being able to play starting, as a starting level player and the quality that he's playing at right now. Now, there's still things he needs to improve. And Seth the same way. So we got to get Carson out there. We got to get him, back with his feet underneath him. And, I'll have to look at the film today, but also Saturday will be a big evaluation for those guys.
Dave Biddle, 24/7 Sports.
Ryan, if you had a game today, who would be your primary punt returner, primary kickoff returners, and who would be your punter?
Yeah, we have not decided on the punter yet. All three of those guys are continuing to work. We do have to make a decision here pretty quick. I will say that all three of them have, been solid. The first thing we want them to do is be able to get the ball off in under 1.9. The second thing we want is them with over 4-second hang time. And then the third thing is we want that ball to land somewhere between 40 and 44 yards. So if they can do those three things consistently, then we feel like they can be a starter for us. They all haven't done it consistently. They've all shown they can, and they are getting better. Anthony just got here, but he's been able to jump in because he's had some experience. Nick, this is kind of new to him, but you can see the talent. And Joe has been around enough that he understands, how we do things, and is the elder statesman there. So, all three of them are going to continue to work. We had another punt period today that was live, other than bringing the returner to the ground. We'll take a look at that and see how that was. But they all can do, both the rugby style and the pocket punting, so that's good. But we're not going to name somebody just yet. In terms of returners, Mecca will still, be in the mix, both as a punt returner and as a kick returner. We do have Carnell as a kick returner. Travion is an option back there as well. As punt returner, Brandon Ennis is an option for us. Jeremiah can do it. We do have quite a few guys. So we are going to use multiple guys early in the season and kind of see what that happens. It's hard to do that live, Certainly Mecca has the most experience back there. Jaden Ballard has experience as well. So early on, Brian's going to make some decisions on who that would be, get him in the game, and kind of evaluate it over the first couple games. We feel like we do, for the first time in a while, have several guys that we can go to in that area, and we'll use them, probably use them all early on and see how it goes. But they all deserve an opportunity to have the ball in their hands. They got to be good decision makers. I mean, that's a big part of it now, as you know.
Second row middle, Stephen Means, Cleveland.com.
Just one, you said he's significantly graded out ahead of a lot of those guys. Is it just the practice on Saturday? How did you start to see him separate himself over the last
A little bit of both. I mean, I think coming off the spring, everything was very new. It was a significant change in terms of scheme and what we ask the quarterback to do. Once he kind of went through the off season, he changed his body, and then came in with a much better knowledge of what was going on. You could see him playing faster, his feet were moving, the ball was coming out with more pace. And then I think after the first week, you just start to see him take control, make good decisions. And that's the biggest thing. I mean, we have a good defense this year, so we don't need, extraordinary play. I did say this at this time last year. We need someone who's going to take care of the football, make good decisions, make the routine plays routinely. He's got to play well on third down. He's got to play well in the red zone and win the game in a 2-minute drill. I mean, that's what we ask our quarterbacks to do. We have a good surrounding cast around him. And so taking care of the ball is very, very important, but then also scoring touchdowns. And I think all of our quarterbacks this year bring a skill set that they can beat you with their feet, they can beat you with their arm, but they got to beat you with their brain too. I mean, that's a big part of it, and it's going to be a long season. So, we're going to have to get really good at our fastball. We're going to have to be able to change things up as time goes on.
Fifth row right, Spencer Holbrook, Letterman Row.
Yeah, Ryan, what was the message to Devin? Like, how is he handling this? And What do you want to see from him moving forward?
Yeah, yeah. I met with them this morning, all of them together. Had Coach Kelly in there and Riley and Billy, and we were all in there, and I just kind of shared with the group that we were going to name Will the starter, and felt like he has separated himself, in particular in the last week to 10 days. That right now that Devin would be the number 2, but that is going to continue to be a competition, especially into camp, because we're not done camp yet. We have a big scrimmage on Saturday, so we'll continue to do that. But Devin, has shown the ability to do just about everything we ask him to do. It's the consistency part and taking care of the football part that he's just got to make sure that he does a great job of moving forward. And if he can do that, then he can play and be a contributor for it. Because I reminded them again, we all know the story of, with Cardell and JT and Braxton. So I also shared with them that Max Duggan, was a backup the year he went to the Heisman Trophy in the first couple of weeks. So, a big part of being a quarterback is resilience and continuing to work. The minute you faced a little bit of, an obstacle or resistance along the way, you just got to keep pushing. And, we all know the stories of some of the great quarterbacks that have worked through different versions of adversity. So, he had a really good practice today, Devin. Same with the rest of those guys. So they got to keep pushing, and, we all know that we're going to need them along the way. And, we're going to look to try to get them in the game, early in the season when we can.
Third row middle, Dan Hope, 11 Warriors.
Ryan, other than Will, who are some of the other players who graded out well in that scrimmage on Saturday?
On defense, Arvell Reese really played well. He was the player of the game on defense, and then on offense, Emeka was the player of the game. Had 3 really good touchdown catches. The receivers played well in that game. I don't have all the group, but we did do a kind of a mock champions meeting just to make sure that everybody understands what that means, and that's the ultimate goal for each of our guys to grade out a champion. It's the goal of each position coach for their unit to grade out a champion. And if that doesn't happen, they got to figure out why that is. You got to look yourself in the mirror. You got to get to your position coach and figure out why you didn't grade out over 80% in that game. So we'll do that again on Saturday, and then the next one would obviously be against Akron. But those were the guys who flashed. There were other guys who graded out champions. I think if I say one, I'm going to forget the rest of them. So there were a handful, but I think some of the position coaches were going to grade difficult in this one to make sure they understand that we all got a long way to go.
Austin Ward, podcast, dotting the I's.
Is there a world where Tegra is the starting right guard and the third tackle?
Yeah, but we're trying to keep Tegra at guard right now and let him master that. I think it is hard when you go, especially somebody who hasn't played a ton of football, bouncing back and forth. I will say that Zen has shown some signs. He really has, and so we're hoping that we can find the third tackle from the tackles that we have. George has been out for a while, so it's been hard to get him going. One guy that has flashed that's kind of gone back and forth and has played some tackle is Austin Sarevelt. He's really shown some good signs, and hopefully, this moving from guard to tackle can pay off for him down the road. But yeah, I mean, if we're in the situation we have to move Tegra out, he's done it before, but we really want to keep him at guard if possible to make sure we solidify that, because sometimes you can get into the situation where you move a guy and now you have 2 positions where you don't feel great, as opposed to solidifying that guard and then let's try to figure out where that guy would be, if that makes sense. Yeah.
I was just wondering if the depth on the interior had become elevated to such a point where that would be easier to move Tegra outside instead of vice versa.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yep.
Joey Kaufman, Columbus Dispatch.
Ryan, this is the earliest point, I think, in August you've named a starting quarterback. Typically, they've been closer to the season after you've broken camp. Doing it at this point over 2 weeks for the opener, is there any advantage to it? What do you just see how that maybe changes things for your team?
I don't know. I'm not sure. I feel like, quite honestly, Will's taken control of the team in the last 4 or 5 days, and I think I don't think anybody will be surprised in that locker room. But I know that when I went through that as a quarterback, it did give me a little bit of boost. When you know you're battling, you got to bring it every day. You don't want someone to feel content. Okay, I got the job. I can take a deep breath. It doesn't work that way, but at the same time, it does give you a little confidence to know that, okay, I am the starter, and I can start focus on continuing to lead this team. So I think there's pluses and minuses to both, but I think the team would tell you that, he has taken control of it.
Did last year at all weigh on your mind? That obviously went a couple weeks.
No, I think every year is different. And at this time last year, I thought Devin was gonna be the starter, and Kyle just kind of came on and down the stretch really did a great job. And so going into those first couple games, I couldn't look the team in the eye and say that he's the starter, because they know what they see, and that's a big part of the locker room. And then he won it in the first couple weeks, and then kind of went from there. So I think every year is different, but I think this situation, this was the right time.
Andy Backstrom, Letterman Row.
Ryan, you talked about wide receiver depth at times, and you found the guys to be that 5, 6, and 7 rotation. Who kind of stepped up there?
And the receiver? Yes. Yeah. Brandon's done a nice job. So has Bryson Rogers. I've been very impressed with Kojo Antwi in special teams. He's run good routes. He's become very accountable. I just like his work ethic. He's really changed his body. He's changed his life. He's changed his habits. I'm proud of the preseason that Kojo's had, and we really need him to be a guy that can help us this year. I see some things in him that are pretty special, and I'm hoping that we can continue to build on that. Jaden Ballard has flashed. He's done that in the past. We need him to be more consistent. Mylan Graham, for a young player, has really had a good 5 days. He kind of got to the point where he had that, we call it, kind of the doldrums of camp, where he's right in that, he can't really get any momentum. And then the last 5 days, he's built his own momentum, made plays. I believe he graded out a champion in the game on Saturday. So that's been encouraging to see from him. Who else would I be forgetting? No, I think that's the group, after the first 3 or 4, those are the next guys, and they've all flashed. And I think that we're building depth there. I feel better now than I did certainly, 2 weeks ago. And if Bryson Rogers can continue to play strong and physical and block in the run game and the perimeter run game and catch the ball in contact, he's got tremendous change of direction. He can run routes underneath. And he's working on making sure that he's keeping that weight up. I think he wants to be like north of 187, and he's got to be, because that position, as is a physical position, and he's shown that he can do it. And so that would be encouraging to have him there as a weapon for us.
Fourth row middle, Pat Murphy, 24/7 Sports.
Ryan, we talked about the running backs, but James Peoples is a guy who flashed when we were out there. Then we got to talk to him, and he was obviously very impressive. What have you seen from him, and how has he established himself maybe as that third back?
Yeah, another guy who I think has had his best, once he got that black stripe off the day before, has really put some good practices together. I think he's getting his rest, and he's taking care of himself, and he understands what it takes to recover at this level, and he's on his stuff. He's got a great look in his eyes, got a great energy when he walks in a building, and you're seeing that the way he runs. He's seeing it faster, doing a better job in protection. So I'm excited about what I've seen the last week from James.
Tim May podcast.
Yeah, we probably asked you this a million times, almost 1,000,001. Is there a relief factor for a head coach and maybe the coaching staff when you make this call? You understand what I'm saying, of who your starting quarterback is? Like you said, everything still has to be keeping improving, but that's a major decision, right? I mean, from your vantage point.
Yeah.
Do you feel a little bit of a weight off your back in some respects?
I think that when it's really, really close and the locker room is divided, it's a little bit different. I don't know if that's the situation here. But I think right now, again, I think that the team, feels Will and feels his presence. And so I don't think it's going to be, huge news to the locker room. I think they see it, and I think maybe just a little bit of what you're talking about, but I think it's a little bit different when it's like neck and neck, and you got to make that call, and because everybody has their thoughts on that. They're with these guys year round, and Devin's done a nice job as well. Don't get me wrong. I mean, he's shown good leadership, but I just think on the field, Will has separated himself.
And you going into Saturday scrimmage, what is the biggest question that's still out there in your mind about this football team and about maybe a position?
I don't
mean,
think.
we keep talking about right guard, but it sounds like Tegra. Go ahead.
Yeah, I don't know if we'll get anything quite, like answered on Saturday. I think we'll learn more information and continue to move forward. I mean, we know how long this is going to be, and we're continually trying to, take the next step in certain areas and build this foundation. And Saturday will be one more piece to the puzzle. Coming off the field today, I feel differently than when I did when I woke up this morning, because we learned something about our team today. I think it'll be the same thing on Saturday. Will there be some positions won? Probably. Yeah, I don't know exactly who and where and how that looks, but again, it's going to be a long year, and we need depth. We're going to need everybody. So we're going to get 3 groups reps on Saturday and let them all go and try to build as much depth as we can. But again, it's not going to be anything revolutionary, I don't think.
Is Julian in the running for the second team quarterback? Julian.
Yeah,
Sam?
for sure. Yeah, he is.
And why? I mean, just.
Yeah, well, he has a tremendous ability to locate the football. The ball comes out quick. His mind moves quick. You guys have all seen the talent. The thing for Julian is just, getting more and more reps. And we say, like, when you get out there, you're either remembering what you're doing, you're learning what you're doing. And, for him, a lot of times, he's still learning out there. He's trying to figure it out. And, it's a little bit different than where he came from in terms of a jump from high school to college, but you see the talent, and the faster he learns, the faster he's going to get on the field. He's going to play a lot of football at Ohio State, and when he gets on the field is going to be up to him.
Far left, Joe Nugent, WCMH.
With staff now being able to coach the players on the practice field, this camp, how have you seen that play out? How has it been beneficial?
It brings a different energy to the field, because in the past, those folks could really coach the coaches, and they were out there, but they couldn't coach the players tactically or schematically. Now they can, and now it's good, because, if I see someone standing around, I'm like, what are you doing? Like, you got to go coach, go. Like, anybody can stand there with their arms folded. You got to coach and bring energy and bring something to the field and inspire and motivate the players. So that's been really, really good. That part's been excellent. And I think our guys have embraced it. And I think the position coaches have allowed them the opportunity to, for those who deserve it, to take some guys in a one-off situation and spend extra time with them, especially the young players.
Bill Rabinowitz, Columbus Dispatch.
Ryan, first of all, how did Will take it? Also, in the spring, it's no secret he struggled some, which is not surprising considering all the change he had to adapt to. Was there a point when you were concerned about him, whether he'd be the answer, and just how much has his passing developed? Because we know the intangibles, leadership's there. He could run, but just the passing.
Well, we'll see. You only go off of what you see in practice, and I've seen some significant progress made there. The location, I think you'll notice the poise in the pocket. When you're tall as he is, he can see over the line, he can see over the trees, and he's got a good feel in that pocket. Coming off of the spring, there was certainly some things that we needed to work on, and I think Chip did a great job of addressing those things and making sure he knew that he had to go work on those things. But as like in the off season, he has to do that. He has to go and work with some people. He has to go to work with that and watch the film and figure out how he needs to keep his feet moving and the different things that come with it. But a big part of it is when you can anticipate what's going as opposed to react. It's all the difference in the world, and he has a better handle on it. And a big part of that is the work ethic he has put in him. He comes in early, he puts work in, he studies the film, he understands what the schemes are, he understands the structure of the route combinations, and he's done a good job in the run game. He is the run game coordinator. I think, Chip would tell you that. Like, that's a big part of it. And then when you're in this offense, you're making a decision every single play at quarterback. There's very few times where you just hand the ball off and can take a deep breath. We try to do that every now and again, but it's a lot, and he can handle it, and he's done a good job of making sure that he's prepared for the preseason, and it's showing.
His reaction when you told him?
Yeah, he was seemed to be excited, but we were in the room with the other quarterbacks, so he wasn't going to jump up and down in front of them. But I assume he was excited. But you have to ask him.
Folks, I'm sorry, we got time for just one more. Doug Maurice, Kings of the North. Where do you stand with your tight ends right now, and how do you feel about your ability to play 12 personnel when you want to?
I think our tight ends have made progress. Will Kazmarek has shown the ability to be durable, be accountable to play in the pass game, to play in the run game. G's been in and out a little bit. I think Jelani Thurman is somebody that we need to continue to improve. He has the ability. He has the competitiveness. I love being around him on the field. He's just got a great way about him. He's learning how to continue to finish. There's a couple of clips that we showed the team the other day of him finishing down the field and playing hard, continuing to be focused on his job and knowing exactly what to do when he's on the field. Playing tight end is not easy. Certainly not easy anywhere you play, but certainly not easy at Ohio State. I've said this all the time. You got to run routes like a receiver. You got to block like an offensive lineman. And you got to protect like a running back. And after the quarterback, that what we ask our tight ends to do, there's a lot that's involved with it mentally. And it isn't just that part of it. You got to know what to do, but then it's also just the wear and tear of the position and being able to sustain. He's run some really good routes, in particular in the red zone. He can win against man-to-man. He's got good length. But he needs to keep coming. He's not quite there yet, but we're excited about where he's going. Pat Gerd has been a solid player for us. He is going to get on the field. Bennett Christian has probably played his best football since he's been here in the last week. I'm excited about that. But we got to keep going. We got a long way to go, but there is some positive momentum in that room.
And with your two main running backs, are you guys still formulating exactly, once you get to the season, how you want to rotate them, series to series, situational, red zone? Like, are you still working on that, or do you have an idea?
Yeah, we're still working on it. I talked to Locke the other day. He's got some ideas on that. But yeah, we are still working on it, and I think we're getting an idea of what their strengths are. But ultimately, we're going to roll them, and it's going to be a long season, and they're both going to get a lot of carries.
Coach,
Thanks, guys. Yep.
Folks, we're going to go 12 minutes with Coach Kelly. So just, Andy, we're going to open up. Coach, fourth row right, Andy Gillis, Cleveland.com.
Chip, obviously Ryan just named the starter. What have you seen from Will over these last couple of weeks, and what is your reaction to him being started?
Yeah, I think Will's earned it, and we grade everything. Obviously he graded out the highest at the position. There's a lot of data-driven information with that in terms of decisions that he makes.